If you ever watch pro play, you've probably noticed that pros play very differently in ranked compared to solo queue. In pro play, teamwork is critical, and coordination comes easy with callouts. But when they hop into ranked, they do stuff that's a lot simpler, yet still makes perfect sense in a ranked setting. For that reason, pros have no problem reaching high elo, even though they spend most of their days in scrims and doing other things outside of the ranked ladder. Hey everyone, my name is Xpecial, and I've been involved with professional League of Legends as a player and coach for over a decade. In today's video, I will go over 4 easy to implement solo queue tips that professional players use that you can copy in your own games to win more often and help you climb. But before we go into that, let me remind you that if you're trying to improve at League of Legends and you'd like some help, my team of challengers, LCS coaches, and I help people like you gain 400 LP in just 6 weeks guaranteed inside the Masters Roadmap program. You'll be getting over 30 hours of personalized coaching with hands-on drills, scrims, and one-on-ones to make sure you learn everything you need to hit Masters Plus. So if you're serious about putting in the work to see results, message me the word solo on Discord using the link in the description below to book a free call with me to see if it would be a good fit. Hurry, because half our spots have already been filled up for Season 2. Now the first tip comes directly from Faker himself. Keeping track of the summary spells and cooldowns of your opponent is likely something you've done before by pressing tab and clicking on the enemy flash. However, this clip from Faker shows what that looks like when taken to the next level, allowing him to go for aggressive plays that he otherwise simply couldn't go for. We open with Faker on Cassiopeia in a lane against Ahri, a matchup he knows well. At the start of the clip, Faker's already adopting a very aggressive playstyle. The wave is pushed past the middle, and as Faker is weaving between minions to massively damage Ahri, he uses his ultimate to stun Ahri. It's clear he sees lethal here, but it's hit by a charm that pulls him under the enemy tower. While Faker is confused as to how that hit him, Ahri sees an opportunity to capitalize on this mistake. Everything looks right for Ahri here. Faker is stuck in a massive minion wave, and she opens up with her flashing mobility to sandwich Faker between 2 sources of damage. Faker runs to the brush to drop minion aggro, where he somehow again lives up to the unkillable Demon King title. While we are in awe at his survival, Faker already has a new thing on his mind. When he returns to lane, he's thinking, how can I push this advantage further? Ahri got to lane first and pushed in the wave, positioning herself past the middle of the lane. Faker completely ignores the minions and presses onto Ahri. He misses his first Q that would have given him a speed buff, so he lingers a little bit longer behind the wave. At this point, Ahri uses her W movement speed buff to try and trade with Faker, but it is when Ahri misses her charm and Faker's Q is back up that he pounces like the snake he is playing. In a flash, he is on top of an ultless Ahri, chasing her down as she looks absolutely helpless. In that whole chase, Ahri does nothing but throw a Q towards the end as if even she knew it was over. I understand, it's Faker, but even the GOATs operate on basic and repeatable strategies. So what really allowed Faker to play so aggressively, especially after such a close call? Faker knows that Ahri ultimate at level 6 has a cooldown of just over 2 minutes, and flash cooldown is 5 minutes. Faker knows these times well, so as they both return in lane, what does Ahri have left in her kit? Her Q is inconsequential as it does nothing to stop Faker from pressing her again. Further in the clip, we see her use W to make space between herself and Faker, but the missed charm seals her fate. This whole time, Faker is baiting out the last advantage that she had in terms of movement abilities. She has no additional move speed, charm, ult dash, or flash and is in the middle of the lane. Faker moving forward was a calculated play, knowing that once she misses her charm, the kill is more or less guaranteed. Every champion has moments where they are weak and moments where they're strong. League is a game about capitalizing on these moments, and the best way to do that is through tracking. With your champion pool, take your favorites and identify their strengths and struggles. For me personally in the bot lane, there are extremely obvious examples to play around. The easy examples are champions built around hooks. If Blitzcrank or Nautilus doesn't have their hook, they're extremely weak, to the point where in some cases they're borderline useless until their hook comes back in 12 plus seconds. Faker, by simply weighing what his opponent lacks and what Cassio has in her kit, got a solo kill and completely shut down Ahri for this game. With just a little more tracking, you can adapt a more aggressive playstyle on the champions that you know. The next clip has less to do with the advantages of your opponent and more to do with the mistakes they're bound to make. Here we have Bwipo, laning against none other than Tyler1. To no one's surprise, Tyler1 on Mordekaiser plays super aggressive. He attacks Bwipo way past the minion wave and starts taking massive minion damage. That was his first mistake. Tyler1 is a perfect example of a solo queue personality that you often see in your games. The type to stubbornly push his mistakes further and flash auto Bwipo under the tower. He is now dead, flashless, and the wave state is in a fantastic spot for Bwipo. This will become very clear in a minute. What Bwipo did in this first 1v1 was allow Tyler to continue to attack him past his creep wave, and while he did flash, he audibly regrets it because even after dying, he has the advantage. Look at the wave state as Bwipo returns to lane. It's pushing directly into him, forcing Tyler to play very far up. The wave state doesn't bother Tyler as he continues to play aggressively. An aggressive opponent can be identified by their over-eagerness to trade, a push wave state, and a champion known to be a lane bully. When you encounter an opponent like this, understand what Bwipo did here. First, he baited Tyler into chasing and attacking him beyond the minion wave, so in the end the damage taken will be more equal. Secondly, understand the wave state. When the lane is pushed in like this but not crash into tower, you maintain all the power. An aggressive opponent would love to have the entire lane to chase you down and deal as much damage as possible before you hit tower, but you just want the wave frozen right next to your tower so you can farm in peace. That's why Bwipo did not care much about dying the first time under tower, and that's how he ended up getting that second kill. Next, we have Chovy, and I think this game perfectly demonstrates an essential lesson for any champion who is expected to engage. Chovy is used to controlling the games on the stage, expecting his team to play around him. It's no wonder he would pick up a champion like Aurora with her powerful ultimate. The problem is she doesn't scale as well as he's used to with something like Smolder. Let's see how he adapts his playstyle. In the earlier levels when he first gets his ult, you see Chovy go for single opponent plays. This is his first ultimate of the game, where he tries to catch 2 people for a gank. It's a 3v2, and it should have been a fairly straightforward counter gank, but Lee Sin was a few moments behind and they were split. This is still exactly what he's supposed to do in the early game with an ultimate like this. In the early game, when there aren't major team fights, the most effective use of his ultimate will be to catch and punish the mistakes of his opponents. Look at his rotation to kill Vlad. It's single target after single target. Now, we skip to level 13. Chovy approaches a lost dragon that he knows will have several enemies nearby. He is alone and still looking for some level of pick, but already at level 13, he is no longer a champion who can hard engage and follow up with big damage. His target was a Kaisa, and while he does get close, she survives. Chovy understands the point he's at in the game now. His role has changed. When Chovy teleports to the cannon, his ult is only useful to secure the kill. It's not a big play on multiple people. It's hardly even a chase, but it is a kill secured. The same can be said about him securing the kill on Corki within his own base. In both cases, Chovy neutralized crucial members of the enemy team, allowing the rest of his team to perform better around the map or immediately in the teamfight. The way Chovy engages scales with his level. When the game gets late, you will see every ultimate being used as either a secondary engage or specifically to pick off champions, not to deal damage. Aurora might be one of the best examples of a secondary engage champion, as in nearly every fight after level 16, he's only using his ultimate after Rel has engaged. The problem with an engage focused playstyle is a false belief that you will always have to look to engage and that you always have to go in. The truth is, that job gets harder over time. As the game continues, engaging becomes harder, the enemies get tankier, and they have more escapes available. It's important to note that Chovy's adaptation perfectly tracked the amount of damage he can deliver to the enemy. AoE and CC by design are not meant to scale as well. Compare the scaling of crit damage, crit chance, attack speed, and flat AD compared to AP champions that only have magic pen, CDR, and AP itself. The exponential scaling nature of attack speed with auto attacks is a reason that ADC role is primed for scaling. Champions like Aurora are meant to fall off. The way you engage has to scale for your level. A champion like Leona has the same downward fall off. At level 6, her ultimate is extremely powerful, often used to start the fight and continue her powerful CC chain, and provides a decent chunk of a squishy's HP. The same goes for her at level 16, but the utility and damage is a little bit weaker as team fighting and skirmishes occur. At level 16 though, unless your team can follow immediately with ton of damage, your ult would not be effective as earlier. After all, the ideal target will likely have QSS, flash, or another tool to escape, as well as just a ton more defensive stats. The curve starts with you looking for single target ults because you're still in the laning phase and need those small advantages. Then in the mid game, your ultimates are best held for plays that will land you multiple enemies and multiple kills to open up objectives for your team. Then we have moments like this in the late game that show Chovy once again going for those single target ultimates, even if it seems slightly wasteful. Towards the end of the game, your ult is just not as useful as it once was, but in the late game, any enemy is a pick worth getting at all costs. Getting a pick this late in the game dooms the enemy team into a minute of fighting 4v5 until they respawn. Chovy didn't stubbornly only look for big flashy plays. Look what they got him with Kaisa. He adapted his style to match his damage curve and became a secondary engage. When he started to fall off, he began using his ultimate as a tool to turn the tides of the fight rather than start them. Before I wrap this up, this final tip is going to be talking about how these pros manage to effectively carry games by pushing their macro understanding to the next level so that they know exactly what to do at every moment. This is Keria, the most popular support player after his back-to-back world titles. But here we have a VOD of him playing in Korean solo queue. In this case, we aren't looking at the gameplay as much as we are asking ourselves a simple question. Why is Keria playing ADC? Something you may not know about the majority of support pro players is that we come from different roles. Keria and I both came from mid lane to play support professionally. This is why when Keria accuses her ADC, it's a deliberate and conscious decision to learn and better understand the game from different perspectives. Just think about how much easier your games would be if every laner knew how jungle works. The most basic level of advice you hear is to track the movements of the enemy jungler. Okay, so what if you were putting yourself in their shoes? That's what Keria is doing. If you take anything away from this video, remember the tricks that allow pro players to climb the ranks quickly can be boiled down to simple concepts you can use in your games. Abuse the mistakes and weaknesses while being aware of your role on a team of strangers. Thanks for watching.